I love Apple computers. For most of my life, I've seen them as the superior choice. Sure, they've always been a bit pricey, but up until recently, I genuinely believed that the value they offered made the cost worthwhile. But something's bugging me, and I don't know that I can let it go. Join me as I talk about what has shifted my mostly positive opinion of Apple into a deeply negative one. Let's rewind to the mid-90s. Apple was on the verge of bankruptcy, caused by the failures of products like the Newton and the Performer line of computers. Apple's market share was plummeting, with the introduction of the Power Macintosh series in 1994 failing to come to the rescue. Re-enter Steve Jobs in 1997. After returning to Apple, Jobs implemented his vision. This resulted in a remarkable recovery that was underpinned by the introduction of the iconic Internet Mac, or as it's actually called, the iMac G3, in 1998. This colourful all-in-one not only recovered Apple's finances, but laid the groundwork for Apple's position as a leader of innovation in the tech industry. I believe this energy and development in the early 2000s, with Apple offering superior products at a relatively acceptable price point, continued up until the early 2010s. Let me emphasise again though, Macs have never been cheap computers, but I feel like in, say, 2008, you could have said, let's not buy the Dell Tower, monitor, keyboard and mouse, and just get an iMac instead, since it's a better computer for about the same price. And there it is, the crux of my sentiment. That statement about buying an iMac instead of the Dell Tower and all the peripherals hasn't rang true for a long time now. As the 2010s extended, I felt a shift. Apple seemed to me to be moving away from providing genuine value to establishing themselves as a luxury brand. I practiced willful ignorance as Apple made it near impossible to upgrade and repair their devices. And then again when the Apple Watch came out with outrageous pricing options. And then one day it properly struck me as I was wandering through a shopping centre in Melbourne. I found my way to the top floor of this particular shopping centre, which hosts the more exclusive and expensive luxury brands, and Apple stood prominently among them. It was a weird moment of clarity. Apple, which I had once seen as a symbol of innovation and a company that offered decent value, now found itself situated alongside Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Versace. This seemed like a stark departure from the past, when Apple products felt like quality, good value devices, rather than luxury status symbols. This is only getting worse, and the introduction of Apple Silicon and all of the advancements that brings is compounding this. For example, I've come across many people who falsely claim technical literacy and seem drawn to Apple products for the prestige associated with an expensive brand, rather than appreciating the technology itself. People seem drawn to the highest end models, and it's not in the name of longevity, it's just so they can say they spent $5,000 on a computer. As has been worsening for years now, in 2024, Apple's products are becoming unattainable for the average consumer. The pricing structures appear predatory, and entry-level specs fall short of meeting normal computing needs, notably with the base RAM and storage options. This forces people to forever repeat in their heads, oh, I might as well just get the next model up. For someone initially exploring a base config, for example, they quickly realise that the pricing is ridiculous, and if you're going to buy an Apple machine, you might as well spend the extra $1,000 to get something that won't obsolete itself in 5 years, since the RAM and storage are non-upgradable. 8GB of RAM is unacceptable in 2024. It was acceptable and has been unchanged since 2012, when the base configs were more reasonable and of acceptable value. In addition, Apple is leaving its users in the lurch when it comes to repair and upgrade. Just recently, fellow YouTuber Greg from Dmug made a video which summarises experience with getting a fan repaired. For something that should be simple, especially considering that he had purchased Apple's high-end machine, the Mac Pro, he was, in my opinion, treated like shit. I implore you to watch his video, which to me perfectly showcases Apple artificially restricting the useful life of their older machines. The link will be in the description. These predatory practices, as well as the focus on luxury consumers rather than those who appreciate and understand the technology, has really sullied my opinion of Apple. And it leaves me with a bitter taste as I look at products I consider to be of fantastic quality, but can't be warranted on multiple grounds. So unless by some miracle money becomes no object for me, Macs are out. I cannot stand Windows for many reasons, so I guess once my Hackintosh is no longer workable, Linux might be my last resort for daily computing. I want to know if you resonate with these concerns, or maybe you've got a different perspective. Let me know in the comments down below.